like to call to order the North Aurora Village Board meeting of Monday, August 5th, 2019. We'll open with a silent prayer and a meditation. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mayor Berman?
Here.
Trustee Gaffino?
Here.
Trustee Curtis?
Here.
Trustee Carroll?
Here.
Trustee Martinez?
Here.
And Trustee Gately?
Here.
I didn't see any audience comments. Trustee comments?
I just want to make a comment about North Aurora Days. I think we had a record attendance Saturday night, and couldn't be done without our staff here. Our staff, I don't know how many hours they put in, probably 50, 60 hours. Some of the guys were there all 3 days from beginning to end, so that was great. Brian Richter as well, and hats off to those guys. Also, Trustee Gately and Trustee Larry Trustee Gately was there same way all 3 days, so much appreciated, and we're planning next year already.
Yeah, Mark was there. You were there.
That's right.
Many hours or so. Excellent job.
Good time.
It was a great weekend. The weather was great. The attendance was great. The music was good. The beer was cold. It really was good. And our staff, we can't be prouder than we are of our staff and your work and our employees. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Every year it gets better.
Police department as well.
Oh.
Don't forget them. They are there. Yep.
I think
Great job.
that's their presence. It certainly helps us in not having any incidents. So it's really important. And the fire department too, Eric.
Oh, yep.
Any other trustee comments? Consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis? Trustee Gaffino?
Yes.
All right, new business. Item number 1, Mr. Laskowski.
Thank you, Mayor. This item is the approval of an engineering agreement for a water main relocation. Right now, what we have is there's a water main break under Sullivan Road, and we have two options to repair it. We can either repair it right now on the water main where it exists, and it's going to be a repair that would cost somewhere between $15,000 to $20,000. That's if everything goes perfectly. There's a chance that the water main break might not be in the exact location where we choose to dig, which could complicate things and make the cost a little greater. And on top of that, the water main is about 60 years old right now, so typically that's about the time you want to replace the water main. And that would be our second option, is to replace that main. It would reduce the risk of having to go back there in the future, and I think it would be a benefit to the village to perform that relocation of that water main now. It is more expensive, and we do have to pay for engineering to have that water main relocated and designed. But in the long run, we're going to have a brand new water main, and we're not going to have to worry about making another repair in the near future in Sullivan Roadway. So I'm recommending the approval of an engineering agreement with Reb P. Sharp Engineering in the amount of $15,987.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Is that a different amount than what we have on our 15,786?
With a different amount, you got to go, we're going to have to make sure we approve the right amount.
I have the agreement here. Let me take a look. I'm sorry, it's $15,786.
Motion approved.
Second.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis? Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
And Trustee Gafino?
Yes.
Item number 2, Mr. Hannah?
Thank you. Item number 2 is approval of an ordinance amending the fiscal year 19 budget. We're in the process of finalizing our books for the prior year. We have a few items where expenditures exceeded budget at the fund level or the department level for the general fund, and we didn't have sufficient budget to transfer to cover that. Most of these are items the board is already aware of. One is regarding to snow removal costs for public works. There's a budget amendment for $34,000 to account for the increased costs occurred in the last snow season for contracted snow plowing. Storm drain maintenance, an increase of $25,000 for the repair costs over at the Tanner Trails sinkhole and other repairs that had to be made. Our liability insurance fund, we had significant hail damage last year to a number of our police squad cars. So we pay for that money and the repairs and then reimbursed by an insurance company. That has to be accounted for separately under the expenditure level. So that was an increase in expenditures of $50,000 for our liability insurance fund, even though we were reimbursed from our insurance carrier for those costs. Another minor item was for the tourism fund. Last year we contracted out amusement rentals for North Aurora Days, and so that was a cost paid up front but reimbursed substantially with revenues, but we still have to account for that additional cost at the fund level for $8,000. And finally, the Special Service Areas Fund, with some final costs for the town center wetland maintenance. So that Special Service Area Fund budget was increased by $3,700 to $25,000. The previous amount, I believe, was an earlier estimate of what the contract of those things should cost. We're still several weeks from finalizing our numbers, but it appears right now our general fund will be in the black by about $100,000 to $200,000, even with the additional transfers that we made during the year for the police pension fund and the capital projects fund. So that's good news to report.
Motion approved.
Second.
Discussion. Love those numbers.
It's good numbers.
Clerk call the roll, please.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis? Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Gafino?
Yes.
And item 3, is that you, John?
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. This item is the approval to reject all silo structural repair and lighting design bids. We've been working with Muller II to do the design of the illumination and the restoration of the silo. The bids came back substantially higher than what we had anticipated, and staff's going to explore some cost-saving measures with the architect. And once we do that, we'll bring the project back for the board to consider. But at this time, we'd like to reject the bids that we received for the silo bid restoration and illumination.
Motion to approve.
Discussion.
I am shocked at how far above budget those estimates came back. I'm just hoping we don't have to pare it down so much that it makes it non-feasible to move forward with the project.
Yeah, so at this point, what we're going to do is, the engineering estimate was right around $300,000, which is why we had $300,000 in the budget. It was actually under 300, but we did a couple add-on tweaks at the end to add a few more lights. So it was, the final numbers were pretty close to the budget number. When we got the bids back, John, myself, the architects, Mike, we talked and tried to figure out some issues. And we have 3 or 4 ideas that maybe we can reevaluate this process and do it in a different way to try to bring the cost down. The reality is it may be more expensive than we planned for, but we don't think it will be as expensive as this first round of bids came in.
Well, one other thing I'd like to bring up, and I know that the whole issue of the dam looks like it may come back on the table. One thing to keep in mind, it may diminish the desirability of bringing people down to the riverfront once the dam goes away, and if it reduces the scenic appearance. I mean, that's one other concern I think we need to also keep in mind at this point.
It's not going to reduce the look of the dam below the dam. I think it's going to change the look above the dam, not below the dam. I think that's the attitude.
Yeah, I don't think it, I wouldn't.
But people don't come down to see a silo, they come down, to see the river and, enjoy the scenery and
Yeah.
just something I think we need to just be aware of.
Any other discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Gabino?
Yes.
And item 4, John.
Thank you, Mayor. This item is the approval of the Public Works tree trimming policy. This policy went before the Services Committee at the last meeting, and the various categories of trimming were discussed. The only thing that's changed in the policy since that time is we've added a section for addressing private trees. So there's certain instances where a resident may have a tree on his or her private property and it hangs over the sidewalk or a stop sign, and it would be the resident's responsibility to trim that tree. But if they don't trim the tree, this policy would give us the ability to knock on their door and either ask them to trim it, or if we can't come to a resolution, potentially trim it ourselves.
Motion approved.
Second.
Discussion. I think it's clarified. It's good to have it.
Yeah.
Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Gabino?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Item 5, John.
Thank you, Mayor. This item is the approval of an award of the LED lighting and pole replacement project to Utility Dynamics Corporation. This is going to be the third and final phase of our residential LED replacement program. So at the conclusion of this project, we're going to have all the lights in town that are in the residential neighborhoods as LEDs. So there's going to be a few outstanding areas in the commercial areas we still need to do, but this will be the conclusion of that project. We've applied for reimbursement for a portion of the fees from ComEd, and they're going to be giving us, after the completion of the project, they're going to award us $12,473 in reimbursement. With that being said, the project's going to be the removal and replacement of 327 lights and the installation and the removal and replacement of 17 poles. So it's the staff recommendation to award the bid to Utility Dynamics Corporation from Oswego in the amount of $191,125.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Discussion. Which lights will not be replaced?
There's a few down by Orchard Gateway right now that we still have to get back to address. They're a different type. They're kind of taller and on steel poles. So we separated those out of this year's project, and we're going to do those on their own next year.
And those are all that are you said in residential area. Some of the others along the highway, is there?
I think IDOT's done most of their lights
Has it?
along the
Okay.
highways. Yeah.
Any other discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Gabino?
Yes.
Item number 6, John.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the approval of a leaf collection machine quote from Dinkmar Machine. If you recall, we have 2 leaf collection machines in town. One of them's Bonnell made, and we got it in 2015, so it's about 4 years old. And our other machine's a Dinkmar that we've been running since 2009. Generally, the lifespan of these are about 7 years old. Our Dinkmar that we have now, the older one that's about 9 going on 10 years, we would plan to hold on to that one as a backup machine, because right now, the way we're collecting leaves has gotten very efficient. We have 2 teams now, and each team consists of 2 trucks and 1 leaf collection machine. So the leaf collection machine blows the leaves into one of the backs of the trucks. That truck goes off and dumps. The other truck backs up, and the process just continues. So we have 2 teams that are able to efficiently collect leaves now, and hopefully with this more reliable new machine, we'll be able to avoid some of the delays we experienced last year. So,
Motion to approve.
Second.
Yeah, hopefully this speeds up the process.
yeah.
Discussion. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Gabino?
Yes.
Item number 7, Chief Fisher.
Thank you, Mayor. This item is for approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the Fox Valley Park District for police enforcement. Basically, it fine-tunes a 2000 agreement regarding police powers for the Park District and what they can do within the village, as well as what our police department can do on their property.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? This is something that's been in place for a long time. It just
Yeah, it's just had a few.
tuning it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Covino?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
And Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Item number 8, Mr. Hannah.
Thank you. Item number 8 is a motion directing the village administrator to take action regarding the village's expiring aggregation program. As the board is aware, the village has had a residential aggregation program in place since 2011, which aggregates eligible residential account electricity usage for the purpose of procuring or trying to procure a competitive quote to the ComEd default price. This program has been successful for many years, saving residents a significant amount of money. Over time, it has become more difficult to beat the default ComEd rate. The program currently, our broker with David Hoover with NYMEC, who's here in the audience, recently went out for bids, and it was difficult to try and procure a more competitive bid than the default ComEd energy of supply. So given the difference between what the ComEd rate is and what the village was able to get for different bids based on our load usage, there are essentially two options at this point in time. One, we could let the program expire in October, at which time accounts in the aggregation would go back to ComEd for default energy of supply. And then the village would take a look in the spring at possibly looking at bids and quotes at that time and seeing if they're more competitive. One of the suppliers in the bid process did offer to do something different. They offered to aggregate only a selected number of residential accounts that have what's more a favorable load profile as far as power usage. And those accounts would be automatically enrolled in an aggregation, while the other accounts would stay with ComEd. However, the accounts enrolled in the aggregation would pay the same ComEd rate, whatever that is, including the purchased electricity adjustment. So we talked about it a little bit. There is some concern about doing that. It could be confusing for residents. It's not clear if they be in or out initially of an aggregation, and there's no immediate financial difference between being with ComEd and then being selectively enrolled into an aggregation. So one of the things the supplier offered to do was, support renewable energy credits at 100%. As part of that, for that kind of like a selective aggregation, we called it. But again, we have some concerns about, it being confusing for residents kind of going forward for that upcoming time period. So essentially, there's, two options, and I'll let Steve, kind of chime in too, but two options for the board to consider. One, direct the administrator to let the aggregation expire and return all accounts to ComEd, or two, pursue a sort of selective aggregation enrollment process and for a one-year term, essentially.
So I think this is one of those opportunities where this isn't necessarily a total policy decision. It's more of a decision based on the information we have that staff had weighed in on. And in this case, quite frankly, if you just do nothing and it expires, everyone goes back to ComEd. All the residents see the savings that ComEd offers right now because they're cheaper. So we just let it go. Everyone's back on ComEd. No one has to do anything. To do this program, this program that is being offered by this company in the if we were to do a semi-aggregation program, if you will, I think the staff's concerns with that, Bill brought it up, I'm bringing it up again, is one, it's confusing to explain to residents who sometimes don't understand the aggregation program already. But two, to me, regardless of a civic contribution, which is allowable by law or whatever, the idea of a company using only a certain amount of our residents that benefits them to make money, but then come back and try to give us a civic contribution or give us energy credits in the meantime leads to the perception that you're basically letting a company take the 40% of the best residents, separate them from the rest of the community, and benefit from it. And that's a concern that I think the staff has with that program. And trying to explain that to residents, I think it was really hard to see the benefit of that.
And are the residents automatically, you said they were automatically enrolled in that aggregation?
Previously, eligible accounts that weren't already enrolled with a separate supplier, like they went on their own to get a separate supply contract, those residents, previously all were enrolled in the aggregation. And then you have the option after you're enrolled to opt out of the aggregation if you want and pursue a different supplier. So the option, brought to us through our broker, one of the companies, was sort of a, I can't think of a good phrase to describe it, but sort of a selective aggregation where homeowners' accounts with what power companies see or view as a favorable load profile would be enrolled in an aggregation, and the collective amount would be paid the same at the ComEd rate.
But they're still paying for ComEd rate no
It's the
matter
same
what, right?
It's the same
So-
rate. There's no financial benefit.
So what are you looking from us? The direction of what to do?
Yes.
The direction would
I say
either
let
be
it
do
expire.
nothing and let everyone go back to ComEd and then look for cheaper pricing for the whole
let it
community.
expire. My
I
vote.
agree with Mark, just let it expire.
Expire. All right. You got a motion to
Oh, motion. Motion approved, yeah.
Second.
discussion?
So it's a motion to approve letting it expire, I guess.
Right.
I would go, if you go on the memo, Bill did a nice job of putting the motions. He actually worded them, item 1 and 2, at the action items at the bottom of the memo. So basically what you would be doing is authorizing the village, or excuse me, number 2, direct the village administrator to not enter. So you need, make a motion and then read off number 2, basically.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that was,
Yep.
He wants you to read it.
where is it?
It's in the memo.
Do you want me to read it? I can.
Yes.
Direct the village administrator to not enter into a new power supply agreement and allow all accounts currently under the aggregation program to go back to ComEd's default supply price for the upcoming year.
Okay, make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Gavino?
Yes.
Item number 9, Mr. Bosco.
Thank you. Item number 9 is a special events permit request from Noonan's Barbecue and Sports Bar in the Clock Tower Plaza. They would like to have an event, bags tournament, on August 18th from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. in their parking lot. They would have liquor included, and they will be applying for their special event or special use liquor license, I should say. So they have all their paperwork, and the only thing that they were waiting for is, because they are a private business that is basically leases space, they have to get permission from their property owner. But for that, they have everything in front of them. The reason they need the special event permit is essentially that 2 things. 1, they're having liquor outside, and 2, they're blocking off a significant portion of the parking lot, hence the reason they also need the permission of the landlord. So if you can approve the special event permit pending the village receiving, so the staff receiving that permission from the landlord.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
So parking is okay then?
The staff looked at it. I mean, we don't have a major concern. There's a lot of parking at Clock Tower Plaza.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Gavino?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
And item number 10, Mr.
Toth.
Toth, is that you?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item number 10 is a resolution approving Route 31 TIF facade grant funding in the amount of $8,640 to 223 South Lincoln Way. Explore Gymnastics operates outside of at 223 South Lincoln Way. As you can see in the pictures here, their canopy and walkway is in a major state of disrepair, to say the least. They have vermin infestation going into the canopy. So I am requesting that this TIF facade grant be approved on first read to allow them to get this work underway. They've been working with our code enforcement department. But again, this has not gone to committee. I'm asking at first read of this resolution, allow them to begin work shortly.
Motion approved.
Second.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
And Trustee Gavino?
Yes.
Mike, number 11.
Thank you. Item number 11 is a resolution approving Route 31 TIF facade grant funding in the amount of $2,900 to Aurora Wire at 8 Marvo Street. This was before the committee to hold it on June 3rd. They discussed the painting of the south and east building facades. We actually had the lowest bid at that point was $6,800. The company was not in good standing with the state, so I asked the property owner to go back and rebid the paint job. So they actually did, and they came back with a lower bid of $5,800 for the painting. So we're actually getting a reduced cost than what was presented at the last committee meeting on this discussion, when they're requesting $2,900. At that point in time, too, some trustees had made comment about the debris on site. Our code enforcement worked with the property owner to the south, and we got that cleaned up. So we're doing a lot of work in that area right now.
Yeah, I saw that. Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Gavino?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
So, old business, nothing. I have a couple items here. I did get a letter from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, and they had an engineering evaluation of our North Aurora community water supply, and they've completed that. And based on their evaluation, the water supply is being properly operated and maintained and is satisfactorily protected against the entrance of contamination. In addition, the North Aurora community water supply is commended on its exemplary facility maintenance and updating and the professionalism and courtesy of its employees. Now, those are good things you'd like to hear. I also met a young gentleman today from Japan who was spending summer with us, or the year with us, and he brought with him a letter from the mayor of Nishinomiya in Japan. It's a small community of 487,000, and which I'd never heard of, but that doesn't make any difference. But the mayor says, "Thank you for sharing your community. I am sure the young people that will treasure these cross-cultural experiences for years to come. It would be appreciated if you would extend special consideration to this meaningful program in order for him to attain his objectives." And I certainly wished him well when I met him today, and he's a fine young gentleman. I hope he gets an opportunity to visit our board meetings, which I invited him to, and also to see everything he can in North Aurora. So that's a good. The other thing, I have this was a student at Aurora University came in and interviewed me and did a community assessment on North Aurora, and she got a 99 on the report, so which is very nice. But it's always nice to have someone choose North Aurora as the contents of their reporting. So very good. That's it. Committee reports. Trustee comments? Mr. Bosco?
Just two quick ones. The first one is I have to thank my staff, all the board members for North Aurora Days this year. It was, as always, it was a nice event. A lot of people came out, and I'm proud of the staff and all the work they put in, and the board members as well for supporting it. The other thing, just a quick point. So, Trustee Curtis, to your comment about the Fox River Dam, as of right now, we have an opening discussion slated with the Illinois Department of Natural Resources to come present to us. I believe it's September 16th at the Committee of the Whole. That's just it's an opening conversation in which they're going to do a short presentation and try to answer any preliminary questions that would start before we ever got down the process, so to speak. Thank you.
Mr. Attorney?
No report.
Well, we have a guest. We have Mr. Bunkowski from the Fire Department. Anything from the Fire Department to report? Nothing to report. Thank you, sir. Finance, Mr. Hanna?
No report.
Community Development, Mr. Toth.
No report.
Police, Mr. Chief Fisher.
No report, sir.
And Public Works, Mr. Laskowski.
No report, thank you.
And you're not going to be with us for the next 3 weeks. You're going to be in Sri Lanka or
I'm going to be in Sierra Leone, Africa.
Sierra Leone. Okay.
Yeah.
We wish you well and hope you have a good flight.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Committee of the whole meeting will start immediately.